Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers on the broadcast today. It's an all Pundits show with a great lineup. Bryan Wachter, Helen Foley, and Alex Goff. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you. But we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2021 Nevada legislative session is brought to you by Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. Ahern Rentals is ready for your next project. Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. And Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from Carson City. We're at the Bank Saloon with a great panel lineup here. Bryan Wachter is here, Senior Vice President of Government and Public Affairs for the Retail Association of Nevada. Former State Senator Helen Foley is here. She's President of Foley Public Affairs. And Alex Goff is the Democratic National Committeeman. So, Helen, I have to start with you. About your Democratic Party chair, the state party chair, your thoughts on the recent week?
Well, you would start out on such a great topic. It's hard to understand why she interjected herself in this issue. It's a very volatile one.
And just for those that might not know, she injected herself into the Middle East.
The Middle East, yes, and that's one of our big issues in Nevada, of course. No, it should not have happened on the state level, and I don't think she should have been involved in it. And now there are a lot of repercussions for her. But, you know, she's brand new to all of this, and she's going to step in things, and she's going to realize that maybe there are some problems with it.
One of the things that was interesting about her getting elected was that she was elected because Tick Segelblum was too much part of the establishment and not far enough to the left. Maybe going too far to the left is not going to be good.
You know, I come on this show regularly and I share opinions, right? So in the past, party leaders have always shared opinions, but when you put the state party letterhead on there and you're proclaiming it as an official state party position, I think you run into a lot of problems, and there was a reason why party officials didn't do that in the past. Our previous chair was a legislator, now County Commissioner William McCurdy, and he introduced a number of bills. And some of them got vetted through the legislative process, but they were never the official position of the Democratic Party in any kind of way. And so hopefully, our chair takes the opportunity to learn from this lesson. But she did run as a repudiation of party leaders such as me, and so maybe she believes she's doing the right thing. I think time will tell, but I don't believe she'll disappoint. I think she'll continue to as a member of the Democratic Party in Nevada, it's frustrating, but I think it's something we'll have to work through.
Brian,
I think I would, because I think it's an interesting topic, especially this morning. There was a morning consult poll that just came out that was specifically looking at party feelings towards Israel, feelings towards Palestine and the general conflict. And, for the first time, it showed that those who were Democrat or lean Democrat, they had an 18% sympathy only for Palestine, 12% sympathy only for Israel, and then 34% sympathy for both. And so I think we have a case here where there may be some changing of opinions, and I'm not willing to say, yet, just from an outside standpoint, that the new Democratic Party chair was necessarily doing something that wasn't reflected in her party.
An interesting comment, sir. All right, let's change topics and move into what's going on here in Carson City. The energy bill was finally debated here. From Senator Brooks, what were your thoughts on the response to it?
Well, I believe that bill is very important. We can produce a lot of energy, as Doug Cannon said, but we have to get it to the locations where it's needed. I never like when bills are introduced at the end of the session. You always are skeptical of that. But I think this is very important for Nevada.
One of the things that I thought was interesting in the reported testimony was the fact that, will this actually be a moneymaker for Nevada and for NV Energy? And that was debatable.
Well, it is, because if you have great transmission lines, they can go across state lines. And that's just our economy. That's the way things work. But we look at what happened in Texas when they were shut down and people died because they didn't make a major investment in their utility infrastructure. We can't afford to do that.
But the bottom line of that is that if things don't work out for NV Energy financially, then the taxpayers will be the one picking up the tab, correct?
Well, I think it certainly calls for a little bit of trust between the public, the state, excuse me, and the utility. But I think Senator Foley's right. This is something that we do need in Nevada. We need to have the ability to transmit energy effectively and efficiently throughout all parts of the state. And so I think, to Senator Foley's point, is things this late in the game are hard to be able to look and be able to say, is it debatable? Do we know the exact outcome or what those consequences are going to be? And I think in this, we hope that the good outweighs some of those potential ill consequences.
Where do you think this is heading? I mean, it seems like it's going to obviously pass, but
yeah,
I could be wrong.
I mean, I would tend to agree with you based on the information that I can look at and see right now. But I mean, I think that investment in infrastructure such as transmission lines, especially what's happened in Texas, I think modernization, especially as we look to the future of electric vehicles, I think those are important discussions and conversations to be had. And I'm thankful that Senator Brooks has taken the lead on this issue, as he's developed a reputation over many, many years of energy being his wheelhouse. And I think that this is a big proposal, and I'm looking forward to seeing it discussed, and I think it's going to pass as well.
One of the things that hasn't come up in major discussions in this session is cybersecurity, and with what we've seen on the East Coast with this gasoline situation and the pipeline, do you not think that cybersecurity should be one of the top issues being discussed here?
Well, certainly certainly it should be. I don't know why we haven't had a more robust discussion on that. But I mean, this is a national issue and should be handled nationally as well.
Yeah, well, to say from the retail standpoint, yeah. Right? We deal with this constantly, and we've been dealing with it constantly, and protecting people's data, their information, and you can spend billions. In fact, we've got a pharmacy member that spends more on data or in cybersecurity than the U.S. Pentagon does, and there are still constant issues. And so I think it's evolving, and it's something that you have to constantly try to stay ahead of, but I'm not sure that there's much more like a task force or much more that can actually be done that we're not already doing and trying to stay ahead of this process.
Yeah, because Ira Victor, who's the cybersecurity expert, has been on this program many times saying we protect the front door, but it's the back door that we leave wide open.
And you certainly don't want open doors laying around, but also at the same time, states have invested money into allowing people to spend unlimited time to figure out how to get into these infrastructures. And so a person with the right tools and specifically the right amount of time can hack into almost anything. And so you certainly want to ensure that the doors are not wide open. front door, back door, side doors, but understand at the same time that states that are investing a lot of money, states meaning countries, that are investing a lot of money into this type of, into hackers, they have time. And so if they want to get into a system, they will. And so how do we make our infrastructure resilient to where even if someone is able to access a computer system, how do we ensure that something new is brought online, or what are workarounds to where we can continue, as we can't have power systems shut down, we can't have water systems shut down. I mean, these would cripple a city, so.
Not to mention a state. Did you have another thought?
No, just that all of these companies are working independently to try to protect themselves, but it's an issue that is far bigger than the state of Nevada trying to deal individually with this.
Yeah, I just look at it and go, if there was a problem with Lake Mead or with the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, that would be an instant crisis, obviously.
Oh, sure, and it's a major issue for the water companies in Nevada, and they're looking at it very closely, making sure they protect themselves.
All right, and let's take a break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
Serving Our Kids Foundation's mission is to serve homeless, at-risk, and food insecure children in grades K through 8 throughout Southern Nevada. During the pandemic, Serving Our Kids has seen a 42% increase in the number of children served, providing more than 4,500 meals to kids in over 100 schools weekly. Serving Our Kids is powered by community support and volunteers. To learn how you can help, visit servingourkids.org.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com. Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have a great All Pundits show going here with top talent. Bryan Wachter is here, Helen Foley, and Alex Goff. Bryan, there's discussion yesterday. You were testifying on a tax holiday at the legislature for certain essential personnel, but it didn't cover all essential personnel. Would you lay out what the deal is on this?
Yeah, certainly. So Senate Bill 440 is a bill that updates current statute on providing a sales tax exemption to National Guard members. And this SB 440 extends that exemption to those who are in active duty or maybe have been sent overseas and are in active duty and come back, and we offer the exemption. And what was talked about at the hearing yesterday was the need to provide kind of a recognition or reward for all the hard work that the National Guard has done, and they certainly have. We've pulled Nevada out, absolutely. I mean, the amount of National Guard support we had in just maintaining the supply chains, getting vaccines to our retailers so that we could get shots in the arm has just been fantastic. And so we think that that is a good reason to be able to do it. But we think in the spirit of that, if we are looking at kind of recognizing those heroes that were on the front lines every day, that there are some frontline workers that should be included in that. You know, our grocery store clerks showed up to work. They never had an opportunity to stay home. They weren't ever on lockdown. And so if this is kind of the policy discussion, we should move in that direction. But there are some concerns on the constitutionality of that exemption. Article 19, Section 1, Sub 3 says that in order to exempt that 2% from the statewide sales tax, that it must be done by a vote of the people. And then there was a recent amendment to Section 10, Subsection 6 of the Constitution that provides for a way that the legislature can exempt everything but that 2%. And so we're looking for different ways. There's a few solutions that we can get at it, and we hope to work in the next week or so to make sure that we have a bill that's constitutional and meets those policy goals that the governor's looking for.
Your thoughts?
I think Brian's the expert on this.
I was going to say, man, you're getting into chapter, verse, and weeds. Without getting into marijuana. But yes, I mean, it just seems that if it's going to be okay for one section of the population to be able to get this exemption, then it should be for all the frontline workers, because we're all incredibly grateful to all of them for what they've done. Okay, so Helen, then let's talk about the 2/3 and the Supreme Court and the ruling that came out last week. In terms of being able to maintain taxes without having the 2/3 majority, which obviously the entire Supreme Court was unanimous in saying, no, you can't do that.
Well, I think many of us felt this way when the legislature first decided that they didn't have to follow that. So now the record is clear, and we'll move on from there. One thing I'm very grateful for is we aren't in the situation we were last year. We had made all of those cuts to Medicaid and everything else in state government, and if we didn't have a bit of a cushion like we do now, and then the windfall that we're getting from the federal government, we would be in deep trouble. But I think they'll be able to manage it, get back on track, and move forward with this. I mean, all the money that's coming in is really amazing, and they're going to allow the add backs of things that have been cut, and I'm pleased about that. But I think the Supreme Court was absolutely right in this, and we have clear direction on the 2/3 vote now.
And speaking of all this money coming in, it's just amazing. I mean, this is not just something that's going to help out with the budgets that got hit, but pushing us into the future. What are your thoughts on almost $3 billion coming to a state of 3 million people?
Well, I think that's exciting, but first of all, I want to address something I heard on your show yesterday with Senator Heidi Gantzer, and said that she believes that maybe LCB should have partisan staff. I thought that the majority party in asking for an opinion from the nonpartisan LCB went in the right direction. And while legal opinions can differ on if this was right or wrong, ultimately the Supreme Court adjudicated it, and now we have a precedent saying that's not the right path to go down. But if we have a partisan LCB, like she suggested on the show yesterday, I'm not sure how well thought out her proposal was, if it was just something she was opining on. But I think that you would see worse proposals coming out of a partisan LCB vice a nonpartisan LCB. So I thought it was interesting she said that on your show yesterday. But as far as the money coming into the state, it's an opportunity to invest in infrastructure, not only physical, but as we were discussing earlier on the show, computer systems as well. And I think it's something that people were asking for early in the pandemic, and so it's fortunate that we finally got to a place to where the federal government recognized that it's important to fund the governments closer to people. State and local governments have picked up a lot of slack during this pandemic, and so it's a good thing to see them get infused with money, and so now it'll be exciting to see how they spend it.
Okay, so Senator Gansett's point was that she felt that the LCB representing the Democrats at the legislature was a partisan situation. Do you agree, disagree?
Well, I think first, just for disclosure, the Retail Association was a party to the lawsuit, so a little biased perhaps in the conversation, but I think absolutely LCB created an opinion that I think even Senator Foley brought up that we all seemed to knew before this happened. It seemed to be common knowledge, and we can be glad that there's a precedent now, but we have to beg the question, how and why and what was the process that opinion was generated that was repudiated by not only a bench decision at the district court, but a unanimous decision at the Supreme Court. And I disagree wholeheartedly. I think partisan staff would actually make for better legislation, better plans. You would actually give the minority party, whichever party that may be, the ability to have their own staff, their ability to contemplate legal consequences to some of the legislation that they are supposed supposed to be voting on or participating in. And oftentimes now LCB is a great organization in terms of how hard they work, but they are overworked. And so they have to divide their time in certain ways. And so oftentimes I don't believe that leads to the minority having an opportunity to really explore some of those legal consequences of what we're doing. And so I think a partisan staff makes things better.
Okay, I think you might have an opinion on this, Senator.
Well, I've always been very proud of LCB, and I've been around this process since I was in the Assembly in 1981 and found them to be very nonpartisan. When they created this decision of saying that 2/3 didn't really need to be 2/3, I worried about that just because of this reason, that there would be partisanship. I have always loved the Nevada legislature because we've been able to get together and every vote is not partisan. And I think if you have partisan staff, you're just accelerating that process for us to become more like Congress, and that's not a good thing.
All right, let's take another break and we'll be right back.
Tamarack Casino is giving away 2 Mercedes-Benz during the $125,000 Benz or cash giveaways. Plus, players get 5 times points on video reels every Friday. Win 2 Mercedes-Benz now through May at Tamarack Casino.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your air conditioner breaks down today. We fix it today. Why sweat for days while your air is down? When Nevada Heating can get the job done today, and you can get cool again. For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 or see us online at nevadaheating.com.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
One of the most psychologically damaging things parents can do to children in divorce is disparage one another, which is why I can't believe I even have to make this commercial. Half of your kids' genetics come from this person you're spewing hate about. Your children have the right to love you both, but more than that, they deserve to love themselves.
Marilyn York might be a men's rights divorce attorney, but this is for every selfish parent. Shut up!
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
Tamarack Casino is giving away 2 Mercedes-Benz during the $125,000 Benz or cash giveaways. Plus, players get 5 times points on video reels every Friday. Win 2 Mercedes-Benz now through May at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have a great pundit panel going here today with Helen Foley, Alex Goff, and Bryan Wachter. So Helen, let's talk about the 2 elephants in the room that are not being discussed publicly but privately, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks we'll have an answer, which is the mining taxes and then the potential for gaming taxes or not gaming taxes. What are you hearing that you can share with us?
Well, we always wait until the end, you know that.
Of course.
Yes,
and makes it so much more exciting.
A lot of drama is created, and you know, and that 2/3 decision is weighing very heavily on everyone too. I don't know what's going to happen there. Maybe these gentlemen do, but I don't think we're going to have any new taxes. We are flush with money right now.
And you don't think that mining is going to end up paying more by the end of this session?
I don't know.
Okay, Bryan?
I'm with Senator Foley on this, and I think we're just watching to see what happens in the next 14 days.
Alex, it falls on you, sir.
I don't want to deviate from the other two. I mean, I think we're going to certainly observe, but with all the money that's coming in, I mean, during the break, you know, Senator Foley mentioned even opioid money coming in as well, and so it's hard to imagine there would be a energy to raise taxes on mining or gaming at this time. But, you know, I guess we'll all sit back and see.
Well, but there are going to be questions on the ballot if something is not resolved here. But then the question arises from that is, can you remove questions from the ballot?
Well, you know, if there are questions on the ballot, then legislators are going to say, let the people decide. You know, let's have them do it. I know that with a lot of other issues, everything's being studied. You know, this public option came out with a huge bang, and it's kind of at a whimper stage at this point. I believe that there'll be a study. But the thing
By the way, I talked to a congressperson the other day, and they were talking about innovation zones, and they said a study, the perfect way for a bill to die.
Well, that's true, but you know, that thing did need an awful lot of study. You know, as Maggie Carlton, who has been the longest serving legislator there now, she said, if I can't explain it, I'm not going to vote for it. And that's what happened with the innovation zones. It was all so secretive. The concepts were hard to grasp. We don't understand it.
No, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I was reading an article the other day about how cryptocurrency is mined, and at the end of it, my head was hurting.
Well, you asked on the IP1, IP2 questions, I think specifically on whether they could be withdrawn, and I'm not sure how many times Nevada wants to test its constitution in such a short period of time. But I believe the Constitution is clear that if those ballot questions are not acted on in the first 40 days by the Nevada legislature, then they're sent to the ballot. And so I think that's the expectation, and I would hate to see anything challenge that.
And that's where we have to leave it. A great panel. Thank you all very much, especially this late in the session with so much still to come. And we'll be right back. Bryan Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Bryan, and at Bryan Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Bryan has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at bryanculpaphotography.com. As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's Development Company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's Development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers on television, radio, audio and video podcasts, and YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast coming to you from Carson City. See you then.